My daughter stole my identity and opened 15 loans in my name. I was sitting in my kitchen that morning, drinking my coffee like I always do, 2 sugars, 1 cream, when the doorbell rang. 2 uniformed officers were on my porch. One of them asked, "Are you Mabel Robinson?" "Yes, sir," I said, my heart already racing. "Ma'am, we're here to serve a notice regarding 15 unpaid personal loans under your name totaling $120,000. I froze. "I don't have any loans," I said. There must be a mistake. But there wasn't. My name, my social security number, my signature, all forged. And the person who did it was my own daughter, Tiffany Robinson. She laughed when I called her. "Relax, Mom. You wouldn't understand how online financing works anyway." Then she said the words that cut through me like glass. "You don't even know how the internet works, Mom." I did what you never could, I took control. She hung up, leaving me holding papers that said I owed more than my entire house was worth. But what she didn't know, what she could never imagine, is that the same system she used to destroy me would be the one to expose her in the end. My name is Mabel Robinson, I'm 69 years old, and I live in Memphis, Tennessee. And if you're listening to this story right now, I want you to take a deep breath, because what happened to me could happen to anyone, especially if you trust people just because they're family. Before I tell you how I fought back, I want to know. Where are you watching from? Are you listening from your kitchen, your car, or maybe lying in bed at night? What time is it where you are? If you've ever felt betrayed by someone you love, hit that subscribe button. Here on Big Mama's Stories, we share real stories from real women, stories of pain, strength, and justice. Every day, there's a new story that might just remind you, you are not alone. Now, let me tell you what happened next. Let me take you back a few years before that knock on my door, before the humiliation, before the sleepless nights. I raised my daughter Tiffany by myself. Her father, Robert, died when she was just 7 years old. It was sudden, a heart attack while he was at work at the post office. From that day on, it was just me and her. I worked as a nursing assistant for 34 years at Methodist South Hospital. Long hours, sore feet, but steady pay. I made sure Tiffany never went without. Every birthday, every Christmas, every graduation, I made it special. I wanted her to know that even if life took her father, she still had a mother who would give everything she had. Over the years, I helped her more times than I can count. When she was in college at the University of Memphis, I paid her tuition every semester, $3,200 each term. When her old car broke down, I took $7,000 from my savings and bought her a used Honda Civic. When she got her first apartment, I co-signed her lease because her credit wasn't strong enough. Altogether, I must have spent close to $85,000 over the years helping Tiffany get on her feet. And I never asked for a penny back. Not once. After college, she got into social media work. She called herself a lifestyle influencer. I didn't really understand what that meant, posting pictures, making videos, but she said brands paid her to promote things. I just smiled and told her I was proud. At first, things seemed fine. She'd come visit on weekends, show me photos on her phone of her travels, new handbags, trips to Miami, brunches with her friends. But little by little, I noticed something change. Tiffany stopped calling me Mama. She started saying Mabel, like she was talking to a stranger. And every time I'd ask about her job, she'd get defensive. "Mom, you don't get it," she'd say. "The internet is how people make money now. You're stuck in the old world." I let it slide. I didn't want to argue. Then, 2 years ago, she lost her apartment. She said she'd been scammed by a business partner. I didn't ask for details. I just said, "Come stay here until you get back on your feet." She moved into my guest room. Said it would only be for a month. That month turned into 6. During that time, she borrowed my laptop to check emails. She used my phone to verify some online accounts. She even asked for my driver's license once, said she needed to confirm her shipping address for delivery. I thought nothing of it. She was my daughter. Why would I suspect anything? Looking back, I realized that was when it started. The identity theft. The applications. The forged signatures. One by one, she opened 15 loans in my name, credit cards, payday advances, personal loans, small at first, then larger. $1,500 here. $5,000 there. $10,000 for home improvement. Every single one approved because my credit was good. And she used every dollar for herself, vacations, clothes, online shopping, rent for her influencer friends. I didn't know any of this until the letters started coming in. At first, I thought they were scams. I'd get envelopes saying, "Thank you for your loan with First Trust Financial or payment due, $425. I threw them away. But the letters kept coming. Then the calls started. "Mrs. Robinson, we're calling about your overdue payment." "I don't have a loan," I'd say. "Ma'am, this is the number listed on the account." That's when I called Tiffany. She told me, "Oh, Mom, don't worry about that. It's just junk mail. Scammers send that stuff to older people all the time. Throw it out." And like a fool, I believed her. For 6 months, she kept up the lie. Until the morning 2 officers knocked on her door, not mine. That was the day she finally learned what it feels like to be exposed. After those first strange letters, I tried to shake it off. I told myself it was some kind of clerical error or maybe a scam. But my friend Miss Geraldine, who lives 2 houses down, she's the kind of woman who can smell trouble before it knocks on your door. She came over one Saturday morning for coffee and peach cobbler. "Mabel, you sure you should be throwing those papers away?" she asked, peering over her glasses. I waved her off. "Child, Tiffany said it's just junk mail. You know how these companies try to trick folks our age." Miss Geraldine frowned. "Honey, maybe so, but you better check your credit. These young folks know how to use a computer better than we ever will." Her words stuck with me. The next Monday, I went down to First Southern Credit Union, the same bank where I'd had my account for 30 years. My favorite teller, Mr. Klein, greeted me with a warm smile. "Morning, Miss Mabel. What brings you in today?" "I just need to check something on my credit," I said. "I've been getting letters about loans I never took." His smile faded. "Let's see what's going on." He pulled up my file and frowned almost immediately. "Miss Mabel," he said quietly, "it looks like there are multiple active accounts under your name, and a few with other institutions. Some are in collections." "Collections?" I whispered. My hands started trembling. "Yes, ma'am. One with First Trust, another with Quick Pay Financial. Total balance is just over 100,000. It felt like someone had hit me in the chest. I remember sitting there, trying to breathe, clutching the counter for balance. "Who would do something like that?" I asked softly. He looked at me with sympathy. "It happens more often than you'd think, Miss Mabel. Usually family." Those words sank like a stone. Usually family. That afternoon, I called Tiffany again. This time, I didn't sound confused, I sounded angry. "Tiffany, did you open loans in my name?" "What? Of course not," she said quickly. "Why would you even think that?" "Because the bank says I have over $100,000 in debt. My social security number, my signature, everything." She laughed, that same cold, condescending laugh. "Oh, Mom, you probably gave your info to some scammer. You're always falling for those fake calls. You don't even know how the internet works, remember?" That phrase again. Like a knife twisting in my heart. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, all the letters spread out in front of me, bills, balances, legal warnings. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face. My daughter. The child I'd raised with love and sacrifice. The next morning, I went to church. I didn't go to pray for money, I went to pray for clarity. Mother Eloise, one of the church elders, sat beside me and held my hand. Baby, when the devil comes dressed like your own blood, you need to fight him with truth, she said softly. Those words gave me strength. That same week, I went to Detective Washington, a community officer who'd helped with neighborhood scams before. He listened quietly, nodding. Mrs. Robinson, he said, if your daughter used your information without your consent, that's identity theft. You'll need to file a report and gather every piece of documentation you can find. I can't believe this, I said, tears welling up. I'm turning my own daughter in? He sighed. Ma'am, sometimes love means drawing the line. The law's the law, even when it breaks your heart. I left that police station shaking, but something inside me had changed. I wasn't scared anymore. I was angry, the kind of anger that makes you stand taller. When I got home, Miss Geraldine was waiting on my porch with a warm sweet potato pie. You look like you've been through hell, she said. I have, I answered, but I'm not staying there. That night, I opened my old laptop, the same one Tiffany had borrowed. I stayed up till 2 a.m., learning how to check my credit reports, download statements, trace transactions, and print proof. Every click felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. Tiffany thought I didn't understand the internet. But she was about to find out that I understood justice. The next morning, I woke up before sunrise. I sat at my kitchen table with a cup of black coffee and stacks of papers spread across it, letters, bank notices, credit reports. For the first time in months, I wasn't crying. I was focused. I made 3 phone calls that day. The first was to Mr. Klein, my banker. I'm filing an official report, I told him. I need every document that shows when those loans were opened, the IP addresses, the transaction history, everything. He said softly, Miss Mabel, I'll help you however I can. The second call was to Attorney James Weber, a local lawyer known for helping senior citizens in financial fraud cases. He answered his own phone. Mrs. Robinson, he said, I reviewed your email. You have a solid case of identity theft, and because the perpetrator is a relative, it falls under elder financial abuse. That's a federal offense. The third call was the hardest. I called Tiffany. Mom, why are you making such a big deal out of this, she said. It's not like I killed anyone. You stole from me, Tiffany. 15 loans. My credit's destroyed. You used my name. Oh please. You wouldn't even have known how to apply for a loan online if it weren't for me. I took a deep breath. You're right about one thing, I said quietly. I didn't know much about the internet before. But I'm learning fast. And I hung up. That evening, Miss Angela Moore, an investigator from Adult Protective Services, came by the house with a clipboard and a kind smile. Mrs. Robinson, I'm here to document everything. We take these cases very seriously. She took photos of the letters, the credit statements, the forged documents. Then she asked gently, do you feel safe with your daughter knowing you've filed this report? I don't feel safe at all, I said. But I feel stronger than I did yesterday. When she left, she handed me her card. Call me if she contacts you or tries to intimidate you. And Mrs. Robinson, you're doing the right thing. That night, I sat on my porch with Miss Geraldine. The street was quiet, the air cool and heavy with the scent of magnolias. You ever think it would come to this? She asked softly. No, I said. I thought I raised her better. I thought love would be enough. Miss Geraldine looked at me with those wise eyes. Love is enough, baby. But sometimes people choose greed over grace. You can't fix that. You can only protect yourself. Her words settled deep in my spirit. The next week, Attorney Weber filed a formal complaint with the Tennessee Department of Financial Institutions. He also contacted every lender Tiffany had used. The evidence was overwhelming. Loan applications signed with my name, but the IP addresses traced back to Tiffany's apartment, her phone, her email address. 3 days later, Tiffany called me again, this time angry. "Did you really file a report against me? Mom, do you realize what you're doing?" "I'm protecting myself," I said. "You're ruining my life. You ruined mine first. Mom, please, they're going to come after me. I just needed the money for a few months." "No, Tiffany. You needed to stop lying. And maybe facing consequences is the only way you'll learn that." She screamed something I'll never forget. "You're too old to understand how the world works. You're stuck in the past. This is my generation's time." And then she hung up again. I looked at my phone for a long time, and for the first time in years, I felt calm. Because the truth was no longer hidden. It was in motion. It was a Tuesday morning when I heard the knock on my door again. Not the officers this time, Tiffany. She was standing there in a tight blazer, her makeup perfect, her tone sweet as sugar but her eyes sharp as glass. "Mom, can we talk?" I stepped aside slowly. "Talk, not lie." She sighed, tossing her designer purse on the couch. "Look, I made mistakes, okay? But you're overreacting. I was going to pay those loans back once my business took off. You didn't lose any money yet." I looked at her and shook my head. "Not yet? Tiffany, my credit is destroyed. I can't even qualify for a car loan now. You forged my name 15 times. She crossed her arms, her voice turning cold. "You're making this into a bigger deal than it is. You don't understand how the internet works. Everyone does online loans now." There it was again, that same sentence. "You don't understand." I stood tall. I understand theft. I understand betrayal. And I understand that what you did is a crime. Her expression hardened. "So what now? You want to see your own daughter in handcuffs?" "I want to see my daughter take responsibility," I said. For once. Before she could answer, there was another knock. 2 investigators from the Financial Crimes Unit stood on the porch. One of them, Officer Daniels, greeted me politely. "Mrs. Robinson, we're here to follow up on your report. Is Tiffany Robinson present?" Tiffany's face drained of color. "You called the police on me?" "No, baby," I said quietly. "I called the truth." The officers stepped in and explained her rights, calm and professional. They asked her to accompany them to the precinct for questioning. Tiffany turned to me, tears starting to form, but they weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of fear. "Mom, please, don't let them do this. I'll fix it, I promise." I wanted to believe her. Lord knows I did. But promises don't erase forged signatures or stolen peace. "You had every chance to fix it before they came," I said softly. As they led her out, she kept turning back toward me. "You're ruining my life, Mom." I stood in the doorway, holding the frame for balance, and whispered to myself, "No, baby. You ruined your own." When the car pulled away, I closed my front door and slid down to the floor. The house was quiet, too quiet. For the first time since Robert died, I felt the full weight of loneliness. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in the pew at Mount Zion Baptist Church, long after the evening choir practice had ended. The lights were dim, and only Mother Eloise was still there, locking up hymnals. "You did what had to be done, Mabel," she said gently. "Sometimes loving someone means letting the law handle them." "I keep hearing her voice," I said, my hands trembling. "I raised her better than this." Mother Eloise smiled sadly. "You can raise a seed in good soil, but you can't make it bloom right. Only God can do that. You just have to protect your garden." Her words filled the silence like balm. 2 days later, Attorney Weber called. Mrs. Robinson, the lenders have confirmed your identity was stolen. Charges are being filed. She used your social security, your address, even your retirement account as verification. You'll be cleared of all debts within 60 days. I thanked him through tears. He paused. You should know, the state may pursue criminal charges. It's out of your hands now. That night, as I sat on my porch, Miss Geraldine came by with sweet tea and quiet company. She said, "You think she'll learn from this?" I looked out at the street, the lamplight glinting off the leaves. I don't know. But I've learned. I've learned not to let love make me blind. She nodded slowly. Then you already won. The courthouse in downtown Memphis smelled like old paper and rain. I wore my best blue dress and the pearl earrings Robert had given me on our 20th anniversary. My hands trembled, but my heart was steady. When I walked into the courtroom, Tiffany wouldn't look at me. She sat beside her attorney, her hair pulled back tight, her nails painted crimson. For a second, she looked like a stranger. Attorney Weber whispered, "Stay calm, Mrs. Robinson. Truth is on our side." The judge, Honorable Denise Carter, read the charges aloud. 15 counts of identity theft. Elder financial abuse. Fraud exceeding $100,000. I could feel the eyes of the courtroom on me. I lifted my chin. The prosecutor stood. Your Honor, we have clear evidence that the defendant, Ms. Tiffany Robinson, opened multiple fraudulent loans using her mother's name, social security number, and digital signature. He showed the printed loan forms, each one with my name, forged in her hand. He displayed the IP address logs linking directly to Tiffany's apartment. Then Mr. Klein, my banker, testified. Mrs. Robinson has been a loyal customer for 3 decades. She reported these charges as soon as she realized what had happened. Everything points back to her daughter's accounts. Next came Miss Angela Moore, from Adult Protective Services. Mrs. Robinson acted with clarity and presence of mind. Her cognitive test results show no impairment whatsoever. This is a textbook case of elder abuse. Tiffany's lawyer tried to twist things. My client was under financial pressure. She never intended harm. The judge frowned. Intent doesn't erase fraud. Then Tiffany spoke. Mom, please. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I thought I could fix it before anyone found out. I stood, my heart pounding in my chest. Your Honor, I said, my voice trembling but clear. My daughter told me I didn't understand the internet. She used that same internet to steal my name, my peace, and my dignity. But I understand enough to know right from wrong. And I know that love doesn't excuse betrayal. The courtroom was silent. Tiffany's eyes filled with tears, not the kind that cleanse the soul, but the kind that come when the walls finally close in. After a long pause, Judge Carter said, "The evidence is overwhelming. The court finds the defendant guilty on all counts." Tiffany sobbed as the bailiff approached. I didn't cry. I had already cried enough. The judge looked at me. Mrs. Robinson, you're an example of courage. You stood up for yourself when most would have stayed silent. You're free of all financial responsibility, and your name will be fully restored. I nodded, whispering, "Thank you, Your Honor." As they led Tiffany away, she turned toward me, desperate. Mom, please, I'm sorry. I looked at her with calm eyes. You told me I didn't know how the internet worked. Turns out I didn't need to, because God knew how justice worked. The courtroom gasped softly. Even the judge smiled faintly. Outside, the rain had stopped. The air was clean, fresh. I walked out of that courthouse not just as a mother, but as a woman who had reclaimed her name, her power, and her peace. The morning after the trial, I woke up before dawn. The house was quiet again, but it didn't feel empty this time. It felt peaceful. I brewed a pot of coffee, opened my curtains, and let the soft Memphis sunlight pour across my living room. For the first time in almost 2 years, my name was clean. My credit was restored, my savings were safe, and my nights were still. No more calls from collection agencies, no more letters marked urgent. Just peace. I walked to my front porch and sat on the swing that Robert built for me the summer before he passed. I could almost hear him saying, "You did good, Mabel. You fought back." A few hours later, Miss Geraldine came by holding a basket of fresh cornbread. "I knew you'd be up early," she said. "Justice tastes better with breakfast." We both laughed, and for the first time, the sound didn't carry pain with it. Over the next few weeks, I started volunteering at Mount Zion Baptist Church, helping other senior women understand online safety, how to spot fraud, how to protect their bank information, how to say no even to family when something doesn't feel right. We started calling it the Golden Circle, a small group of widows, grandmothers, and retired nurses who met every Thursday morning in the church basement with coffee and pound cake. We shared stories, tears, and lessons. That first meeting, I stood up and said, "Ladies, I'm not proud of what happened to me. But I am proud that I survived it." I learned that sometimes the people we raise become the storm we have to survive. But even storms can wash you clean if you stand firm. There were tears, nods, and a quiet amen from the back. A month later, Attorney Weber called me again. "Mrs. Robinson," he said, "the court has awarded you financial restitution, $50,000 in damages." I was silent for a long time. "Thank you," I said finally. But I already got what I needed. That afternoon, I donated half of that money to a local foundation that helps elderly people recover from scams and financial abuse. The other half, I used to renovate my kitchen, nothing fancy, just fresh paint, new cabinets, and a little breakfast nook where I could read my Bible in the mornings. On Sundays, I'd bring sweet potato pie to church, and the ladies would tease me. "Look at Miss Mabel with her new kitchen and her fancy coffee maker." And I'd laugh. God gave me back more than what was stolen. He gave me peace of mind. Sometimes I still think of Tiffany. She served her sentence quietly. I sent her letters, not out of bitterness but out of grace. The first one said, "You may have taken my name for a while, but you didn't take my soul. I hope you find your way back to truth." Whether she ever will, that's between her and God. As for me, I'm living again. Every morning, I open my front door, feel the sunlight on my face, and whisper, "Thank you, Lord. You let me fall, but you also let me rise." Because the lesson I learned, the one I now share with every woman who listens, is this. You're never too old to stand up for yourself. You're never too weak to start over. And you're never too late to be free. When I look back on everything that happened, it feels like watching a movie I once starred in, one of those stories that starts in darkness but ends with sunlight breaking through the clouds. Some nights, I still sit by the window with my cup of tea and think about the woman I was before all this began, the one who thought love meant saying yes, even when it hurt. I used to think being a mother meant sacrificing until there was nothing left of you. I believed if I kept giving, my child would see my love and give it back. But what I learned is that love without boundaries is not love, it's surrender. I remember the exact moment that truth hit me. It wasn't in the courtroom, or when the loans were cleared, or even when Tiffany was sentenced. It was one evening, maybe a week after the trial. I was at home alone. The sky outside was gold and lavender, that Memphis kind of sunset that looks like the world's been painted by God himself. I looked around my living room, the house I nearly lost, and it was quiet. Peaceful. And for the first time, I didn't feel lonely. I felt strong. That's when I realized, sometimes God strips things away, not to punish us, but to show us who we are when everything else is gone. I used to be afraid of getting old. Afraid of being useless, forgotten. Tiffany made me feel like that more than once. "You're old, Mom," she'd say, "you don't get how the world works anymore." But now I know better. Getting older doesn't mean losing value. It means gaining wisdom, the kind of wisdom that keeps you from falling for lies wrapped in sweet words. There's something the younger generation doesn't understand. Experience is a kind of wealth. They scroll through screens chasing likes, while we've lived the kind of stories that make you fall to your knees and pray. That's real life. That's survival. After the trial, I became a guest speaker at local community centers, small gatherings of women just like me. Some with canes, some with walkers, some still strong enough to dance during Sunday service. We'd sit in a circle and share our stories, stories of betrayal, heartbreak, and survival. One woman, Miss Lorraine, told me her grandson stole her debit card and drained her savings. She said she never reported it because family is family. I told her, baby, I said that once too. But family doesn't mean free pass. It means accountability. You can love someone and still tell them no, you can love someone and still walk away. Another woman, Miss Ruth, said her daughter talked her into signing a loan for a car, and then disappeared. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, I didn't want to lose her. I took her hand and said, you already lost her the moment you lost yourself. You can't save somebody who's willing to drown you to stay afloat. Every head in that room nodded, because they understood. We all do, deep down. Sometimes, the people we raise are the same ones who break us. But even then, God gives us the strength to rebuild. One Sunday after service, Pastor Thomas called me to the pulpit. Church, he said, we have a testimony to share today, one of courage, truth, and redemption. I walked up slowly, heart pounding, but when I faced the congregation, I felt peace. Brothers and sisters, I said, when the devil can't reach you, he'll use the people closest to you. But that doesn't mean you stop loving them, it means you start loving yourself enough to say no. The church fell silent. Every pair of eyes on me. I learned that forgiveness doesn't mean letting someone hurt you again. It means freeing your heart so their sin doesn't poison your soul. I forgave my daughter, not because she asked, but because I refused to carry bitterness. You can't heal while holding hate. There was a soft murmur of amen around the room. After service, one young woman came up to me, tears in her eyes. Miss Mabel, she said, my mama used my credit too. I haven't spoken to her in years. Hearing you today, it gave me hope. I hugged her tight and whispered, hope is what starts the healing, baby. Don't let what broke you define you. Later that week, I got a letter from Tiffany. It was short, just 3 lines. Mom, I'm sorry. You were right. I didn't know what I was doing. I hope one day you can forgive me. I read it twice, then folded it carefully and placed it in my Bible, between Psalms 91 and 121. Because forgiveness doesn't erase what happened, it redeems what's left. That evening, I walked outside. The air was cool, and the magnolia tree in my yard was blooming again. 40 years that tree has stood there, through storms, heat, and ice, and it still blossoms every spring. I smiled and thought, I'm like that tree now. My roots run deep, and no matter what tried to cut me down, I'm still standing. Sometimes I wonder if Tiffany ever truly understood the damage she caused. Maybe she will one day. Maybe she won't. But I stopped waiting for that day. Instead, I focus on the women who sit with me every Thursday morning. We laugh, we cry, and we lift each other up. We remind each other that age is not weakness, it's armor. And whenever a new woman joins and says, I don't know how to start over, I tell her, start right where you are. Open your eyes. Breathe. Speak your truth. The moment you stop hiding from it, that's when the healing begins. People think justice is about punishment. But real justice is peace after chaos, silence after pain, strength after fear. That's what I found. So if you're listening to my story right now, maybe with tears in your eyes, maybe with your heart heavy because someone you love betrayed you, listen to me. You can come back from this. You can start again. And when you do, don't look back with bitterness. Look back with gratitude, because every time you survived what was meant to destroy you, you didn't just live through it. You became wiser, braver, and stronger. I'm Mabel Robinson. And I'm living proof that no matter how deep the hurt, God always leaves a light on for you to find your way home. My name is Mabel Robinson, and this was my story. But if you've been listening closely, you already know, it's not just mine. It's the story of so many women who gave everything they had for family, only to be left holding the pain instead of the love. So before this story ends, I want to talk to you. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, if you've ever felt invisible inside your own home, or if you've ever stayed quiet because you didn't want to cause trouble, I want you to hear me clearly, you matter. You are not too old to start over. You are not too soft to fight back. And you are not too late to stand up for what's right. I know how it feels to have your heartbreak and your faith tested at the same time. I know what it's like to stand at your own door, holding a stack of bills you didn't make, wondering how you'll ever climb out. But honey, you will. Because strength doesn't show up before the storm, it shows up when you decide you're done being afraid. When those officers came to my house that morning, I thought my life was over. But the truth is, that knock on the door was my new beginning. It was the sound of freedom waking me up. I learned that standing up for yourself doesn't make you unkind. It makes you whole. And when you finally protect the woman you see in the mirror, you're protecting every version of yourself that was ever silenced or ignored. So I want to ask you something right now. Where are you listening from tonight? Are you sitting in your kitchen like I was that day? Are you on your lunch break at work, or lying in bed trying to hold back tears? Wherever you are, know this, you are not alone. Every day here on Big Mama's Stories, women like you gather to share truth, pain, faith, and victory. So if this story spoke to you, hit that subscribe button and join our family. Because we don't just tell stories here, we heal through them. And I want you to be part of that healing. If this story reminded you of someone in your life, a friend, a neighbor, a sister, share it with them. You never know whose heart you might be helping. And in the comments below, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to choose between protecting yourself and protecting family? Have you ever been forced to draw a line, even when it broke your heart? Tell me your story. Someone out there needs to read it. Someone needs to know they're not crazy, not bitter, not alone. And if you're still in the middle of your storm, if the papers are piling up, or the lies keep coming, listen to me, baby, the truth has a way of coming out. It always does. God sees what's done in secret. And when He moves, no lie can stand against His light. The day the judge cleared my name, I felt something lift off my shoulders that I'd been carrying for years, guilt, shame, silence. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't weak for trusting. I was strong for surviving. Now I use that strength to help others. Every Thursday morning, I sit with the women from the Golden Circle, sipping coffee, sharing lessons, and laughing again. We've all got scars, but now we wear them like medals, proof that we made it. And I want the same for you. So tonight, when this story ends, I want you to do something. Take a deep breath. Forgive yourself for not seeing the betrayal sooner. And then promise yourself that from this day forward, you'll never let guilt keep you quiet. Because you, my sister, are worth protecting. You are worth peace. You are worth rest. And you are worth the truth. If this story touched you, leave a heart in the comments. And if you've ever been through something like this, write the words "I'm still standing," because that's what we do here. We stand together. And before you go, make sure to turn on notifications, because the next story I'm sharing will stay with you. It's about a grandmother who discovered her daughter-in-law was secretly selling her medication, and the way she turned her pain into power will leave you speechless. Until then, take care of yourself, take care of your peace, and remember what I always say. You are valuable. You are worthy. And you don't have to accept disrespect from anyone, not even family. Big Mama loves you. And I'll see you next time.